Joined in the press room at Wembley by former editor of Rugby World and now communications director Premiership Rugby Paul Morgan. He's back on the show again. Thank you very much for joining us, Paul.
My pleasure.
We're having a look now at Pool B, which has gone a little bit understated, it has to be said, despite that Japan shot, but it's really shaping up to be an interesting contest for the two to go through, because South Africa, Scotland, Samoa and Japan are all right in it after 2 rounds.
Absolutely. I mean, it's going to be one of the most entertaining finishes of all the pools, I think. Any pundit you'd have asked 6 months before the tournament, 3 months before the tournament, even 3 hours before the tournament, would have said this is a straight shootout between Samoa, Scotland and South Africa. And the wonderful, wonderful Japanese have turned that all on its head. We've seen them lose. But hey, look, they've got, the Japanese are still in there. They've got 2 very, very winnable games to come. And who's to say the Japanese can't end this pool on 14 points? And who's to say that's not going to be enough? Obviously, next weekend we've got 2 sets of really big games for this pool, but it's all to play for. And Scotland now are absolutely in the box seat. And for me, what level of ambition have Scotland got? Do they believe they can win this pool? Because if they do, they're going to set themselves up for a much easier path.
Of course, for those not familiar to how it all works, the team that finishes second in this pool will face the winner of Pool A, known as that group of death, featuring Australia, England, Wales and Fiji, and the team that finishes first will face the team that finishes second from that one. South Africa, widely expected to top the group. It's far from simple now because of that defeat to Japan. How do you see their game against Scotland in Newcastle this Saturday?
No, I mean, I still see the Boxers hot favourites for that game. I think they put themselves back on track. I think a team like South Africa can get caught once. They probably won't get caught twice, but very obviously sad news today for them that their captain and their inspirational leader Jean de Villiers is now going home, which is a big blow for them. I still believe South Africa will beat Scotland, but the question is, will they beat them with a bonus point, or will it end up with Scotland nicking a bonus point, which could be really, really important, because then we could see the pool all get evened up again. So it's absolutely fascinating when Japan have put a smile on everyone's faces and they've thrown this pool wide open. And as I say, they had a short turnaround to play Scotland, lost that game, but who's to say they can't come firing back and beat both Samoa and the USA.
And Samoa, who were beaten very comfortably 46-6 by South Africa in that revenge mission, but they did get that win over the USA in a tight game at Brighton before the game at Brighton that everybody remembers. They faced Japan. Would you say Samoa are actually the favourites for that game? Because before the tournament they would have been, but not so now possibly.
No, absolutely. I would say you're absolutely right. Before the tournament they would have been favourites for that game, but you can't write off the Japanese in any of their games now. So I think they'll have had enough time to regroup. As we mentioned, they had a very short turnaround between the other games. They haven't got that now. So I would make them favourites for that game now. I think we could easily see Japan, but the reality for Japan is if they chase it, they need to. If they get a bonus point in that game, they will be up there and firing. They'll move up to 9, and who knows? Scotland might not be on that after that. Scotland will be just ahead of them on 10 if they lose to South Africa. So it really is all to play for. Fascinating stuff, and every try is going to really count. And I think in some of these pools, and this could be one of them, we'll see a sort of final day of the Six Nations scenario where each match will happen and the next team will know what they've got to do. Exciting stuff for rugby.
And of course, the final matches of this pool being South Africa facing USA at the Olympic Park in London before Samoa-Scotland, and that Samoa-Scotland game could well be one that has a wide range of permutations possible, even including teams not involved in that fixture.
Oh, it'll have huge. I mean, so far, look, the Samoans, we know what they're about. We know they've got 1 or 2 really big performances in them. They've got quality throughout their team. Very disappointed with their performance against South Africa, I must admit. I was very disappointed, but I know they've got a big game in them. Could that big game be at St James's Park? That is the kind of stage for them when they take on Scotland. So, look, Scotland could be heading for that game, needing 4 or even 5 points to qualify, and Samoa could turn them over. But I do like the look of Scotland in this World Cup. I've got to be honest. I think Vern Cotter has put them onto a different footing. And today, the game they played against the USA was a really good example of that. Behind at half time, came back, got their bonus points. I've really been impressed with Scotland. So I think, as I say, Samoa have got a big game in them, but I would expect Scotland to win that final match.
Thank you very much for your time, Paul.
My pleasure.